Transformers Rise the Beast. Was it really a good movie? And was it worth the wait? Or was it disappointing? But before we get into the video, just a quick spoiler warning. Click off the video immediately because I will be going into some major spoilers to the video. So, Transformers Rise the Beast. Let's start off with this. This movie was a very, very intense, interesting. It was emotional. It had some heartfelt moments in it. It had some amazing action sequences in it. But to kickstart things off, I want to talk about Scourge and the Terracons because these guys are mediocre villains. Okay, these guys bring the intensity, and that's what you want from your villains. And so let's talk about Scourge. Scourge for me is the best Transformers villain that we've had in the live action Transformers films because he comes with this intensity. He is a very tough brute. He has this brutality about him, and not just the way he looks, his voice, his attitude, the way he kind of carries himself. Every time he's on screen, you can't help but feel, his presence, feel the darkness, feel the mood lowering, and kind of feeling that concern for the Autobots and for the Maximals or whoever it is that's going to go up against Scourge one-to-one, especially after he dominates Optimus Prime during the first encounter, which was insane, and I really loved it. This guy is a menace in the film. He is not to be messed with. There's a couple of things that Scourge does in this film that, I just can't believe they allowed this, right? And I really love this. So, number one is the battle that takes place outside the museum when the Autobots go to get the TransWarp key or the first piece of the TransWarp key, and the Terracons also turn up unbeknownst to the Autobots and they get there first. So, this fight sequence takes place, and I have to say, Scourge was a menace. He shows why he is the best villain in the Transformers live action franchise, excluding Unicron, obviously. But Optimus charges at him and he's swinging his blade at him, his energon blade, and he's trying to attack him. All Scourge is doing there really is just kind of dodging Optimus Prime. He's not really giving anything back, and then he does give him a couple of shots back. But eventually he kind of gets, he has enough of it. Optimus at this point, Optimus is going crazy. He's still trying to win. And Optimus clearly looks like the inferior at this moment. And he has enough. So what he does, simply put, is, as he's taking on Optimus, by the way, Bumblebee decides to join in. And, so first of all, he gets rid of Bumblebee temporarily, shoots him, and Bumblebee is sent flying into the museum. So then Scourge turns his attention back to Optimus, and within just a literally couple of blows, Optimus is down and he's vulnerable. Okay, so first thing Scourge does is he, gives him a couple of big shots, and then, on his arm, he has this blade. What he does is he stabs Optimus, and I'll put the image up so you guys see it. He stabs him in the armpit, and I'm not quite sure where, not necessarily to remove the entire arm, but just to kind of cause some damage. I'm not quite sure why he stabbed him there, but and then what he does is, he pulls his arm back, and then he swings across Optimus's lower torso, and he cuts him there, and Optimus drops to his knees. And then what does he do? He punches Optimus back against his pillar, and then he grabs the pillar, slams it down on Optimus's head. Optimus is down, and Optimus is about to get killed. And Scourge is a menace for this reason as well, okay? This is what he says to Optimus before he's about to kill him. Primus would be ashamed. In my opinion, that was the coldest line ever said to Optimus Prime. Oh my god, that line it kind of gives you chills. It gave me chills anyways. And then what happens is that he's about to go to finish him off. And then, as I told you before, Bumblebee was in the museum, right? Bumblebee comes running at him, and Optimus's axe is in the ground, right? Because Optimus was trying to use it to attack Scourge with it, but Scourge manages to disarm him, and it sends his axe flying behind him somewhere. Bumblebee comes charging out of the museum, picks up his axe, and just jumps. Obviously trying to, bring it down on Scourge. Well, all Scourge has to do is turn around, stick his arm out, and Bumblebee lands straight onto the blade. And then he turns his claw of a hand into this weapon. I don't know if it's his gun or something. I don't know if he extracts the energon or if he electrocutes Bumblebee, but he does something. And I'm going to assume that he's probably drained him of energon and has extracted it from him. And then just before he throws Bumblebee's body, he takes off the Autobot insignia and puts it onto his shoulder, and then he just drops him to the ground. And oh my god, that scene was so cold from like Scourge. That guy was crazy, man. That's not the only thing he does. And then he was about to kill Optimus, but then Air Razor saves them. And another thing that Scourge does, by the way, is later on in the movie, they end up going to Peru. Okay, they end up going to Cusco, Peru. And when they go there, They go there to find, it turns out that the TransWarp key that they're looking for is actually broken up into two pieces, because that's what the Maximals did, right? The Maximals broke it up into two pieces, and one happens to be in Peru, so they have to go there to get it. They go there, and Noah and Elena are the ones that go in to actually try looking for it, whereas the Autobots are kind of just positioned across the city waiting for any signs of the Terracons. As soon as the Mirage is notified by Noah, Autobots start rolling out. Air raisers in the sky, kind of letting the Autobots know where the humans are. It turns out that they're going through this tunnel system to the forest, so they also are heading out towards the forest, obviously, to come together with the humans. In their mind, they probably thought, okay, they found it, and we're gonna go meet them or something. But anyways, now when they're doing this, okay, as this is happening, as the humans are kind of going in and they're looking for it, the Terracons turn up and realize that's what's happening, right? And so Scourge sends this little minion, this little bug thing, to go and deal with the humans and to retrieve the key for them, the second piece, that is. And then they just station there and they wait. When the Autobots move, right, when they see them moving, the Terracons make them move and they start chasing them. So they start chasing them. There's a chase scene that leads out of Cusco onto this kind of outer, the kind of outskirts of Cusco, that is. And basically, there's this chase scene that takes place. Optimus has enough. He's had enough of running. I mean, that's it. He's gonna go. And so this is where they clash. Optimus was gonna kill him here. That's what Optimus was gonna do. But anyway, so Optimus drifts around the corner, transforms, and he's waiting for him around the corner, starts shooting him. Scourge is coming around the corner. He's being shot at. He transforms, and then tackles Optimus down, and they start rolling down the hill from one road to the other, And eventually they land on this road on both ends, on the opposite ends of the road. Okay, so they both get up and they start charging towards each other. But Ares yet again comes in and she stops them from fighting. Which, honestly, looking back at that, I kind of feel disappointed because I wanted to see them scrap again. I wanted to see that happen, but unfortunately, Ares was like, that's not happening. That wasn't the end of it. Okay, I told you, Scourge does something. Scourge isn't stupid, right? So what does he do? He transforms his hand, his like claw hand into this gun, and he shoots Ares. And now I'm gonna put an image up of what he shoots her with. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is some kind of like device or some kind of little transformer or something. You guys can help me out with it. And it basically hits her wing and instantly begins to roast her wing, right? The kind of surrounding areas begins to rust away. And at first, you don't quite understand what's happening, but very quickly you kind of realize now it makes sense what he does. So it turns out that what he did was he infected her with some kind of device, which he was then able to do two things. Number one, learn the location of where she was, locate her, and number two, control her, get into her head and control her. And this is exactly what he does. And this is how he ends up retrieving the second piece of the TransWarp key. And not too long after that, Optimus Primal has no choice but to kill Ares. He has no choice, right? At this point, she's too far gone. And then we don't get to see him again until you do see Scourge again, but at this point, Mirage goes after him to try and distract him. Mirage basically, obviously he gets battered. I mean, gets dominated. Again, he never had the chance in the first place. So, what can you say? And now this is a kind of weird scene. This is a heartfelt moment, but it's kind of weird because Noah is exposed. So Noah and Elena at this point are kind of going through these tubes. They're trying to get to the control panel to shut down the machine to prevent Unicron from coming through the portal and basically eating Earth, right? And very quickly, Scourge finds out, he drops Mirage to the ground. Mirage says, Noah, run. And Scourge grabs Mirage, throws him to the side, and then he just grabs Noah. And this is where he gets kicked to the face. Now, both Mirage and Noah are lying on the bridge at this point, and, Noah's about to get killed. So what Mirage does, quickly jumps over and he covers him, and he keeps getting shot. And then he kind of shuts down. And you think at this point that he's dead, and momentarily it's this very heartfelt moment because what are you doing, because Noah and Mirage at that point have quite a bond, and it is kind of sad to see Mirage dying, but what can you say? So what ends up happening is, he basically ends up kind of killing Mirage, and then the parts of Mirage that survive end up becoming a suit for Noah, and Optimus Prime together both take on Scourge. And yeah, Scourge isn't weak. He still takes on Optimus, still kind of going at it. They're going at it. It's a very fair fight, I've got to say. But obviously, in the end, Optimus ends up winning, and he slaughters Scourge in the end. That's what it was. The best way to describe it was a total slaughter. Now, I've just described to you Scourge, right? This is the problem, okay? Battletrap and Nightbird, seeing what they do, seeing some of their power during the first battle sequence, you kind of get to see a little bit of what they're made of, and what they can do. That's literally about it. After that, you don't get to see much from them. They're just playing supportive roles. And the problem is Scourge is such a big character. He overshadows both of them. And I think because this movie was only 2 hours long, they were not able to give Battletrap or Nightbird time or give them their own moment to shine and to show us just how menacing and sinister and evil and ferocious and intense those characters were as well. So that was something that was kind of disappointing because all of them die. All of the Terracons die. This is another thing I'm quite confused by because, well, so who's the next villain then? I mean, surely Unicron's God knows where, some place other in the universe. So who's gonna come next? Are there more Terracons coming? Like, what's happening here? That's something that's quite confusing. I'm not quite sure why they did that, but anyways, that's it for the Terracons. Now let's quickly move over to the Autobots and to the Maximals. So first of all, I want to talk about the Maximals actually, because there's only two characters really that are main. Airazor has a lot to do in the beginning. As I said before, she saves Optimus from being killed by Scourge, and then after the battle scenes take place, she's the one that explains to them that actually they haven't got the full key, that the key's been split into two pieces. And then with the help of Elena, they were able to come to the realization of, oh, hang on a minute, this may be in Peru, so we need to travel there to locate it, right? And so Ares explains who the Terracons are, that they're working for the Unicron, and that they're under the influence of dog. She calls it dog energy, which I'm assuming she's talking about dog energon, but she just calls it dog energy. So she gives them the context. They go off, and Ares, I gotta say, apart from that moment, she doesn't really do a lot. Apart from that moment, and then preventing the Autobots and Maximals from fighting, when they had that tense standoff. Ares is the one that comes in and she calms them down and she introduces the Autobots to the Maximals and, just gets rid of the tension. And she does that. And then the third thing that she does is takes the key, the TransWarp key, the second piece, Scourge, and then Scourge orders her to attack Optimus Primal, who gives chase, right? Because, Ares took Elena and she flew all the way to the top of these structures, and, waiting there was Scourge. So then Optimus Primal had no choice but to kill her, right? He had no choice because she was out of control. So that's what he does. And that's it for Ares. She's done. So apart from those little moments, she doesn't really have a lot to do in the film. She doesn't do too much. She's kind of just there as a background character, Optimus Primal, however, the focus is on him. I do like the fact that he was a more compassionate leader, he's a courageous leader, but he's also compassionate. He's trusting of the humans. He has a very different perspective of the humans and of the entire kind of war on the Terracons and, Unicron. Since he's actually had experience with the Terracons, he's experienced the wrath of Unicron in that their home world was destroyed. So, he's a lot more humble, whereas obviously Optimus Prime, he's in the film, not so much. He's a lot more kind of just strict and he's straight up about, fighting to get home, fighting to get the TransWarp key so he can go back to Cybertron and join the Autobots, because they've been stuck on Earth for 7 years, and that's all he really wants to do. And he has no trust for humans. He doesn't like them, right? And because he believes that they fight for their own, and he only trusts his own because of that belief. But when Optimus Prime meets Optimus Primal and they have a conversation, they come to, Optimus Primal is able to get through to Optimus and open his mindset with regards to the humans. And he basically tells him and kind of humbles him a little bit and gets him to understand that actually humans ain't as bad as you think, because when the Maximals lead the Autobots to this kind of tribe area where this tribe lives, right? And Optimus Primal explains that that they came here hundreds of years ago and that their ancestors were the ones who took them in and kind of looked after them, and that they in return gave them the Maximals in return gave them the second piece of the TransWarp key to look after, and that the Maximals protect those tribal people from any outside threat, right? Optimus was a little shocked by this, and he pretty much just said, "So give me the second part of TransWarp key. I'll activate the beacon. Scourge will come to me. I'll fight him for it. I'll defeat him and put it together, and then I'm gonna go home." Optimus Primal was not gonna risk it. As I said before, he's already experienced it. He's a lot more humbled. He's a lot more experienced. Whereas obviously, this Optimus is a bit more inexperienced. He just wants to get home, and that's what he cares about. And since that's the case, they're really not able to. The dynamic between, the Autobots and, for example, the human like Noah is strained because of that reason, right? Because both of them, Noah and Optimus, the dynamic is strained up until that point, right? Up until the Terracons attacked them at the location where the tribe was. Up until that point, the tension between Optimus and Noah is very strong, right? And the dynamic is not very good. It's very, very strained because both of them are fighting for themselves and their family. So Noah's fighting for his family, Optimus is fighting for his Autobots, and they're both fighting for the same thing for the same reason, but they're not doing it together. They're just coming together for the sake of it, but that's about it. It's not actual unity, and Optimus is kind of humbled, and Noah was about to destroy the key. So when the Terracons attacked, Noah was going to destroy the key. He was like, I've had enough, I'm going to destroy it. And Optimus quickly comes in, he says, no, please don't. And after a little bit of pleading, Noah lets go, and when he backs off, Elena picks up the TransWarp key, and then out of nowhere comes down Air Razor. She picks Elena up and she takes her all the way to the top of the structure where Scourge was waiting. And lo and behold, Scourge has the second piece of TransWarp key, and off he goes to this kind of, I don't know if it's like a volcano or what, this some kind of mountain or some kind of volcano or something. And then he builds this structure. So he puts the TransWarp key together, and the structure is formed with this massive tower, and the top is kind of spinning, and it's creating a portal basically to let Unicron come through. And yeah, so Optimus Primal was a very interesting character. I really liked his character because it was all good and well, and he does a lot, and I really like what he does. I mean, there's a moment in the final battle where Battle Trap, this is so hilarious, funniest thing I've ever seen, but it was also kind of frustrating. The funniest thing I've ever seen is because what happens is Battle Trap's fighting, everybody's going crazy, and he says, somebody give me a royal fight. And he's swinging this kind of wrecking ball around, and I don't know where Optimus Primal just grabs hold of it and pulls it down, and he says, you want to fight? You got it. Optimus comes running around from this boulder with his energon blade, and he slashes him. I don't know where he slashes him, under his arm or something. And within like a matter of 10 seconds, Battle Trap is dead, because what happens after that is, and then Optimus Primal just grabs the wrecking ball and pulls it towards him, pulling off his entire arm. Optimus then takes off part of his leg, Battle Trap falls onto his back, and then Optimus is about to go for the finish, Optimus Prime, but Primal grabs the wrecking ball, jumps on him, and just starts crushing his head with it. He's dead, and Optimus says, that was mine. Optimus Prime, that is. So it's kind of funny how they did that, but again, kind of frustrating. Like, why did they kill him off so easy, man? I wish I could have seen him scrap like Optimus Primal or something. That would have been interesting, but what can you say? So I liked Optimus Primal. I liked Optimus Prime in the story, as I said before, very aggressive towards Noah, not trusting of humans, hates them. He's more concerned about getting the TransWarp key, getting to Cybertron, rejoining the war back on Cybertron. That's all he cares about. And by the end of the film, after that conversation with Optimus Primal, he becomes more humble, and he eases off on Noah, and he decides that, we should come together. And literally not too long after that attack happens, they all kind of just sat at the top of this mountain, and they're looking at the mountain. They can see the structures now being made, it's getting ready, and they're all kind of feeling down. The mood is very low. I mean, Ares is just being killed, the mood is very low, and Optimus and Noah are able to kind of come together, and Optimus kind of apologizes to Noah, but Noah's like, I can't blame you. You were fighting for your own. I can't be angry at you for that. And then Noah's like, I'm not done fighting. That's what he says. Then he goes back. They all get together. They create this plan. Final battle starts. And yeah, so the other Maximals, I got just made this clear as well. Apart from Ares and Optimus Primal, the other Maximals, they don't get very many lines. Cheeto has a couple of lines. Rhinox, no lines whatsoever. They're just playing supporting roles, which is kind of interesting because the movie is called Rise the Beast. I'm not quite sure why they did that. Maybe they're holding them off for the next film. Again, RC, Wheeljack, they were playing supporting roles. Mirage, he had a big part in this movie. It was surprising because I just thought he'd probably be like a side character, maybe like Jazz in, the Transformers, the original Transformers movie, 2007. I thought he'd probably just be like a supporting role character, but he actually had a big part to play in the film. I mean, with, getting to know Noah and then introducing him to the Autobots, and, then him making a deal with Noah to, for Noah to steal the first piece of TransWarp key, give it to them, then he will allow Noah to sell him to make money, which Noah needs. And then, that kind of dynamic, and you kind of get to see Mirage kind of do more and more and more, and it's very interesting, the first car chase scene, where he kind of duplicates himself. It's just crazy. Some of the things that Mirage does in this film. He's a very funny character. And you know what? When I first heard Pete Davidson was going to be voicing him, I was very skeptical. I think like most people probably were. Like I was skeptical. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not quite sure if they've chosen the right guy here. I'm not quite sure, but oddly enough, he did a great job. There were a couple of lines that were a bit, I'd say, corny here and there, but you know what? I really loved how he was a kind of comedic character in the film, and he didn't take anything seriously. He takes everything lightly, nothing seriously. He's kind of a cool, laid back type character. Literally, the only Autobot that's like that, like RC and Bumblebee and Optimus, a lot more kind of straight forward and focused. Wheeljack for me was a bit weird. I don't agree with the design. He looks more like Crazy Frog to me than anything else. He doesn't really do much in the film. Again, him and RC supporting characters. Bumblebee, for example, I loved Bumblebee in the film. Even though he doesn't have much to do, he plays a vital role, especially in the final battle when he's revived. Because at that point, Optimus is getting mauled down by those little creatures, and more and more creatures are coming down because Unicron's sending reinforcements right from through the portal. And they're going down. They're just not, Nightbird picks up Noah, she's flying around. Cheeto throws the kind of like spear at her, knocking her off. And Noah, she falls down. Noah falls like far away from the structure somewhere. You see Stratosphere coming through the clouds. He comes down. I love the soundtrack, by the way, that they played when he came back. It really got you pumped, And he comes down. He starts shooting all the kind of reinforcements that are coming down. He helps Optimus. He helps Noah. And then, he comes down and Nightbird goes straight after him. And very quickly he kills her, and then he comes down. And together with Noah and the Maximals, they all get together and they kind of make way for Noah and Bumblebee to get to the bridge to help protect Elena from these little creatures that are coming after her, to allow her to complete the code, so then the machine can be shut down so they can win. And but although Bumblebee doesn't have a big part to play in the film, you gotta say that he is a good character. I really liked him, and hopefully in the next film we get to see a lot more from him. Yeah, just a quick thing about Noah and Elena. I know the humans, I know I mentioned their names a lot, but I haven't actually spoken about them, so might as well do that. The whole movie, the inciting incident, everything that happens basically starts off with Elena, because she works as an intern in this museum, and basically there's this new statue that comes in of Ares. It's a mini statue, it's like this big, and because she's an intern, she's not allowed to go into a laboratory, but eventually it's a night scene, and her, I don't know if it's a supervisor or something, she's going out somewhere and she drops her lanyard and her lab coat on the desk. She then leaves. Now, because Elena's all by herself and she's kind of intrigued by the statue. So what she does is she puts the coat on, she uses the lanyard to get into the laboratory, and she starts scanning the statue. But what happens is very quickly the statue starts falling apart, and straight away it kind of fires a beam. It gets triggered, and the beam sends a beam straight up into the air. Yellow beam. Optimus sees this, calls all the Autobots together, and they go straight for it. See, the thing is, she wasn't able to see the beam. Only the Transformers could see it. The humans can't. So, so she had no idea that this was happening. She's kind of looking at it like, what is this thing? Trying to figure out what it is. And without realizing that actually, it's just triggered off the beacon, and, the massive robots are going to be outside, but within like 5-10 minutes. So this is when Noah and Mirage turn up, at the base. Obviously, Optimus, everybody turns up. They're not happy. Bumblebee was all right with it. Mirage is all right with it. RC, however, wasn't. And Optimus obviously wasn't. He wasn't happy by his piss. But after some back and forth, they start talking about what it is. And, RC is able to create this projection to show what it is. And Optimus talks about it being the TransWarp key, and we can go home, and he explains what it is. And Bumblebee's like, so when they're talking about what they're going to do and where is it, was RC says it's in this museum, and how we're going to get it. Bumblebee then says, using the radio, obviously, that we should blow it up or something. And they're like, RC, that no, we can't. We blow it up, the humans will hunt us down. So Mirage was like, why don't we what about him? Pointing to Noah, and Optimus is like, no, bad idea. No, we're not doing that. And then Mirage is like, wait. So he goes to Noah, because Noah was agreeing with Optimus. Like, no, I agree with Big Man, right? So, and what Mirage does is he basically tells him, he's like, what about, could do it for friendship, huh? And then, he's like Noah's looking at him like, what? And then he's like, all right, what about cash? And he basically makes a deal with him, and he says, if you get this TransWarp key for us, then I will let you sell me. And he transforms into a Lamborghini Countach, into an Formula One Ferrari. And obviously, because Noah's desperate for money, because, he's an ex-military engineer whose family is struggling financially, basically. And, he's not able to get a job. He's looking for jobs. He's not able to get one. It's just not, things are not working out for him. His brother has sickle cell anemia. He takes him to the hospital, and because an administrator's like, we can't help him, we can't treat him because you still need to pay up 3 months worth of bills, right? For the previous 3 months, pay those bills, and then we'll treat him. And his interview gets cancelled, and things are kind of going very wrong for him. So he says yes, whoever agrees. And then this is where Noah and Elena meet at the lab. Now Noah goes in and they have a weird kind of interaction, obviously, but Noah eventually kind of just says, look, for these big robots from space, trying to explain to her like what's going on. And security guard comes in, there's a massive hole that's blown into the side. And when that happens, because the Terracons turn up, and they're standing there, and Noah and Elaine just walk to the hole, and they see these three robots, the Terracons just standing there. And then Scourge was like, these two little kind of creatures come out. Scourge is like, rip their flesh from their bones and bring me the TransWarp key. I'm like, whoa, that line was crazy, man. Honestly, it's like, well, that's the dark line. That's not a type of line you'd expect to hear in a Transformers film, but it's Scourge, isn't it? And then Scourge starts shooting at the building as Elena and Noah start running, and he starts shooting up the building. And then Mirage starts shooting him. He goes back up. They all turn up, and then we get that battle sequence outside. But anyways, Terracons end up getting the key, and afterward, after the battle has happened, and they're kind of discussing what's next. Optimus blames himself for Bumblebee's death, but he blames the failure of the mission on Noah, right? And he says that it's Noah's fault. If you hadn't been involved, Unicron wouldn't have had this key. This wouldn't have happened. All this stuff, blaming it on Noah. Noah hits back at him, and then he starts talking about how are you blaming me? It's not my fault. And this is where the tension between them continues to rise, and then Ares kind of gives her little kind of background context to what's going on. Then Elena mentions that the next piece. So when Ares mentions another piece, it's a TransWarp key, Elena says it'll be in Peru. So then say we're going to go there. Optimus is like, nope, you're not going. And Noah, I remember Noah saying to him, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to trust a bot who couldn't save his own world to save mine, or something along those lines, and I'm going. So eventually they end up going, and it is sad, Bumblebee's death, and there's so much that happens. Long story short, Noah and Elena end up going to Peru. They end up going to this underground ruin, Inca ruin, which they believe is where the second piece of TransWarp key is. They find this box with the Maximal insignia on it. They push the lid off to open it, and they find that there's nothing in there, but there's these symbols. So again, Elena notes down the symbols, and then they end up in this. So they start running away because there's one of Scourge's little minion things come again. Noah kills it, and then they start going through these tunnel systems. They come out the other side. This is where they kind of get involved, bump into the Maximals, and then they then get introduced to the humans and in the tribes, and they start learning more and more about what's happening. And then obviously you already know Elena gets taken by Ares to Scourge. Scourge is given the second piece of the key. He then takes her off, and Ares is killed. And then the plan is made of what we're gonna do. So the plan basically was this: that Noah and Elena were gonna go through these tubes. They were gonna get to the control panel, and they were gonna shut down the machine, preventing Unicron from getting in. And the only way to do that is there's a code which Elena has in her book, right? And you put the code into the machine will shut down. They've lost. So Optimus Prime was like, we should. All of us, we're going to go attack the bridge. We're going to lower Scourge onto the battlefield, giving time to, well, that doesn't happen. Scourge remains by the control panel, whilst the rest of the army comes down, and they just start going crazy. Love the action sequences, by the way. They were very fun. They were entertaining. They were intense, and they were very grounded. They weren't Michael Bay-esque, they weren't loud and noisy, and, they weren't over the top with explosions, but you know what? They felt right. They were great. And yeah, look, the movie was a fantastic movie. Was it worth the wait? Absolutely. When Optimus takes on Scourge and he kills him, before he kills him, Scourge shoots so Elena completes the code, the machine starts shutting down, Scourge shoots the control panel blows up, the portal begins opening up, right? Optimus kills him, And then what he does is he tells everybody to fall back to retreat because he's going to destroy the transwarp key, which he does, and when that happens, everything begins, because the portal begins collapsing and everything begins to get sucked back in. And I'm talking about the structure that created the portal was being sucked back in to where Unicron was, and Optimus is about to go as well. But Noah comes back, tries helping him out, because he has this suit on and he is helping him out. And then he lets go and you think, oh my god, Optimus is gone. But then Optimus Primal comes, helps him out, and then they start rolling out, and that's what they play Arrival Upon Earth theme from Transformers 2007 movie, and the goosebumps and the nostalgia that you feel when you listen to that music. It's like, oh my god, it's been so long since that music, and wow, it just it just hits you differently, man. If you're a Bayverse fan and you've seen those films, like, it hits you differently, and I really love how they did that. It was really nostalgic. Loved Unicron in the movie, by the way. I really did. We get to see him, not totally eating the Maximal planet, but kind of eating it a little bit in the very beginning of the movie. So that was interesting. And yeah, so as I was saying, the movie is fantastic. It's action packed. You got the action. The characters are amazing. Yes, Cheeto, Rhinox, Nightbird, Battletrap, RC, Wheeljack, and Bumblebee, they don't really have much to do in the film. I just want to say that right now. They just play supporting roles. But Optimus Prime, Mirage, Scourge, Optimus Primal, these guys are able to really kind of bring up the intensity. It's a very fun movie, but I do think that this movie was a little too short. It should have been about 20-30 minutes longer, because then they could have given a bit more time to some of the characters, But look, the movie was great. It's enjoyable. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's interesting. And if you're a Transformers fan, what more could you ask for? Yes, I wish they could have had more from the Beast. I wish we could have seen them, like Ares transform and see a bit more from them. But listen, this is the first of a trilogy. We're not going to get everything right now. So who knows? Maybe in the next film, we'll get more of the Beast. And I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic movie. And I do recommend you guys to go and watch the film if you haven't already. And for those of you who have watched it, let me know in the comment section below. What do you guys think? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? What are your opinions? Because I know there are some mixed opinions from across the Transformers fan base. If you want to see more videos like this, then be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the notification bell, join the family, because we are on the road to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, I know that's not an ambitious goal, but I'm on 81 subscribers. You guys, we can make it happen. Let's make it happen. All right. If you guys are Transformers fans and you love this kind of stuff, you love movie reviews, let's make it happen. And anyways, guys, until next time, I'm out. Peace.